Cool, so we're gonna watch a video about the timeline of the Lori Vallow trial. We're gonna watch 11 moments from the trial and then 9 bombshells from the trial. So clickbaity. I don't really know what these videos are gonna be like. We'll see.
And welcome to the Sunday News at 10. I'm Doug Petcash. It's taken 3 years to get to this point. Lori Vallow's trial is scheduled to start tomorrow morning. She's the Rexburg mom accused of killing 2 of her own children, JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan. She's also charged with conspiracy in the killing of the late wife of her current husband, Chad Daybell. Both face charges for the 3 deaths, but it's Lori who will face a judge and jury starting tomorrow. News Channel 7's Shira Matsuzawa has a timeline now of how we got to here.
Spanning from Idaho to Arizona to Hawaii, this case has captivated the nation since the disappearance of 7-year-old JJ Vallow and 16-year-old Tylee Ryan, who vanished in September of 2019.
Perfectly in the corner, just the title's
Their
cut
mother, Lori Vallow Daybell, never reported them missing. But 4 months later, Lori and her husband Chad Daybell were tracked down in Hawaii in January of 2020.
Here, hotel staff members tell me that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell actually checked out of their hotel rooms here just about 90 minutes ago.
Chad, where are Lori's kids?
Nate Eaton with East Idaho News was in Kauai this weekend right after police served Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell with 2 search warrants. One for this black Ford Explorer the couple was driving around the island, and another for their Kauai townhome where the couple's been living.
They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii?
But the mystery surrounding the kids' disappearance started long before Lori and Chad were found in Hawaii. Lori married Chad in Hawaii.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, there's a documentary apparently on Netflix called Sins of the Mother. So if you've seen that, you know what this is. And if you haven't seen it, you can watch that too if you're still interested.
Hawaii on November 5th. He's her 5th husband. But before that, she was married to Charles Vallow, and they lived in Arizona. In January of 2019, body camera footage from Arizona police shows Charles pleading to officers for Lori to get help and claiming she was trying to kill him.
You're murdered today or tomorrow?
But officers determined she was fine. About 5 months later, on July 11th, Lori's brother, Alex Cox,
well, of course, a killer is gonna think a killer is fine, so.
Shot and killed Charles in what Alex claimed was self-defense.
No way.
Body camera footage shows police responding to the home.
Wait, what?
Alex Cox. About 5 months later, on July 11th, Lori's brother, Alex Cox, shot and killed Charles in what Alex claimed was self-defense. Body camera footage shows police responding to the home.
Is he hurt or is he alive?
Yeah, there's blood. He's not moving.
Lori showed up a short time later.
How long have you lived here?
Like 3 weeks.
Oh, geez. Yeah, okay.
Oh, good golly.
Gotcha.
Like, hi neighbor, sorry.
The very next month, Lori, Tylee, JJ, Alex, and Lori's niece Melanie moved to Rexburg.
September 8th, 2019, the last time 17-year-old Tylee Ryan is seen. She was on a trip to Yellowstone with...
They named her Tylee? That's my first, like Avatar?
With her mother, Lori Vallow, and uncle, Alex Cox. A cellular analysis survey team, or CAST, with the FBI analyzed data from Alex's phone. According to the probable cause affidavit, the GPS data points used by CAST are highly accurate, placing a device within 6 meters of its location. On September 9th, 1 day after the Yellowstone trip, that GPS data puts Alex's phone at Lori's Rexburg apartment between 2:42 a.m. and 3:37 a.m. This is the only time he was at Lori's between midnight and 6 a.m., according to the PCA. A few hours later, 9:21 a.m. until a little after 11 a.m., Alex's phone pings at Chad Daybell's property, specifically placing him behind the home near the barn.
Totally not me, guys.
14 minutes after Alex leaves, Chad sends a text to his then-wife, Tammy Daybell. The text reads, quote, "I've had an interesting morning. I felt I should burn all the limb debris by the fire pit before it got too soaked by the coming storms. While I did so, I spotted a big raccoon along the fence. I hurried and got my gun, and he was still walking along. I got close enough, one shot did the trick. He's now in our pet cemetery. Fun times." Police state this was suspicious because raccoons are nocturnal. Neighbors of Chad's also reported to police frequent bonfires at Chad's house, which was out of the norm. Fast forward a few weeks to September 22nd, the last time JJ Vallow was seen. Police interviewed Melanie Gibb and her boyfriend David Warwick, who were visiting Lori that weekend. They told police Lori said JJ had turned into a zombie. The next morning, September 23rd, between 8 and 9 a.m., Warwick didn't see JJ and asked where he was. Lori stated he was acting out, so, quote, Alex had come and taken JJ. GPS data once again puts Alex on Chad's property that day from 9:55 a.m. until 10:12 a.m., pinging near the pond.
At the time, Chad was married to Tammy, and they also lived in Rexburg. By this point, Chad and Lori were believed to have some type of relationship. Court documents show they met in 2018 at a religious conference in Utah. Then, on October 19th of 2019, Tammy Daybell died in her sleep. Court records show 10 days before her death, Tammy called 911 and reported a masked man shot at her in her driveway. Court documents later indicate Lori's brother tried to shoot and kill Tammy. Initially, a coroner ruled Tammy died of natural causes, but investigators later reopened the case and exhumed her body on December 11th.
Smart.
1 day later, Lori's brother Alex died suddenly of natural causes. 2 weeks later, Lori and Chad got married in Hawaii. Then 4 months later, in February of 2021.
Scott County Sheriff's Office has received the autopsy report on Tammy Daybell's body from the Utah Medical Examiner, but they are not releasing it to the public just yet.
That report has still not been released, but Lori and Chad are charged in connection with conspiring to kill Tammy. On November 26th, 1 month after Tammy's death, Kay and Larry Woodcock, JJ's grandparents, ordered a welfare check for JJ. Police say Lori told them JJ was with her friend Melanie Gibb in Arizona. Melanie told East Idaho News Chad called her that day and said when police call, don't pick up the phone.
He says, yeah, the police are over at Lori's house checking on JJ. And I'm like, JJ's not with Kay? No. My heart dropped deeper.
Rexburg police returned to Lori's home the next day, this time with a search warrant. But Lori was gone. That's when Chad and Lori, newly married, are found in Hawaii. Police in Hawaii served a court order saying Lori had 5 days to physically produce the kids. The newlyweds ignored that deadline.
She's got an end game in her head, and although this is not a game, but obviously she thinks it is, for you to shun an order from a court telling you what you need to do.
Police arrested Lori in Hawaii on February 20th, 2020. She was charged with child desertion, obstructing an officer, contempt of court, and solicitation to commit a crime.
You know that you have been charged in the state of Idaho with a number of charges.
At this point, both her kids are still missing. Lori was extradited from Hawaii to Idaho on March 5th.
No way.
KTVB
No way they're alive.
was the only media outlet to get video of
Children kidnappings usually result in death fairly quick. Not to be bleak, but in this situation, it's a bit different, but also it's mainly because it's like a pedophile and they want to be a pedophile, and they obviously don't want like a witness to say they're a pedophile. So fucked up.
Lori landing at the Boise airport. From there, she was flown to Rexburg.
Welcome back, Lori. Where are your kids? Tell us where the kids are.
KTVB was there as she made her first court appearance in Idaho on March 6th.
All right.
Her son,
I'm surprised they
Colby
didn't request her
Ryan,
to be
was
dressed
also
differently.
there, along with Kay and Larry Woodcock.
Where are Tyler and JJ?
Where are the kids? Where are the kids?
Fast forward to June of 2020, 9 months after JJ and Tylee disappeared. Investigators searched Chad Daybell's Idaho property and found human remains. That's when police arrested him.
God, people, you're so stupid.
The investigators and detectives have recovered what's believed to be human remains that are not identified at this time.
Rexburg police later confirmed the remains belonged to JJ and Tylee.
I just want you to know I came here for one thing. That's to see where
Then in May,
Not the other one? Just the one grandkid? Obviously, I'm not saying I want these people to get away with it. Fuck these guys. But like, if you were to do something like this, why is people's first thought to like put evidence on their property? They haven't found the daughter's body? I thought they said they found both remains. Panic? I mean, yeah, I assume people who are willing to go the lengths to do this sort of thing don't think logically enough to think about the long-term effects it's going to have on anybody they do it to or themselves, let alone mostly how to play it out for sure. But it's crazy to me that it's just like, yeah, we'll just bury it in the yard. There's no way they'll find that. It's not like, oh, they're just the boy's grandparents. Oh, I didn't hear that part. My bad. It's not like the police have a way to like, I don't know, find remains. That would be crazy, right? No way, right? I mean, it's not like they scan it, it's like dead body, but like there is technology to like scan layers of the earth and be like, something's right there. You know what I mean?
Of 2021.
A Fremont County grand jury indicted the couple on 2 charges of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. And another first in this case, with Daybell charged with first-degree murder of his late wife, Tammy Daybell.
Members of the grand jury deliberated and determined there is probable cause to believe the Daybells willfully and knowingly conspired to commit several crimes that led to the death of 3 innocent people.
A few weeks later, on June 8th, Lori was deemed not fit to stand trial. The case was paused for nearly a year.
Interesting.
But on June 24th, another grand jury in Arizona indicted Lori on conspiracy to commit murder charges in the death of her 4th husband, Charles Vallow. A trial for those charges won't happen until the conclusion of the trial in Ada County. In April of 2022, Lori is found competent for trial. She was then formally arraigned on murder charges and pled not guilty. 1 month later, prosecutors said they would pursue the death penalty against Lori. But then, in October of 2022, Judge Stephen Boyce issued a ruling to suspend the trial until Lori's competency could be determined. 1 month later, the judge ruled she was competent to stand trial once again. Then in March of 2023, Judge Boyce ruled Lori and Chad's cases would be severed, meaning they will now be tried separately.
Smart.
Which brings us to today and Lori's trial in Ada County.
Trial proceedings do start tomorrow morning at the Ada County Courthouse. And to be
It's actually really smart because you can actually go at the same case twice, charging 2 different people, and you can use stuff that worked against the second. And also the 2 people can corroborate similarly.
To be clear, court officials say it will start with jury selection. That is expected to last about a week, so it is going to take a while. The entire trial may...
Next one. Shocking moments from Doomsday cult mom Lori Vallow Daybell's triple murder trial. So far, this was from 3 weeks ago.
Did she ever tell you if JJ was taken over or possessed by an evil spirit?
Yes, she did.
Lori Vallow Daybell's former best friend takes the stand and offers damning testimony against the Doomsday cult mom, who's accused of murdering her daughter and son and conspiring to murder the wife of her current husband. I've covered a lot of crime stories over the years, many here at Law and Crime, and it always gets me thinking about ways we can all stay safe. Well, one way you can do that is by trying out Palm Pepper Spray. It's a small but mighty self-defense tool.
Fair.
Palm Pepper Spray shoots up to 12 feet using the strongest legal form of pepper spray on the market. It's safe and easy. You just point it and spray, and if you want to try it, you can get 10% off. Just log on to palmpepperspray.com and put in the code LAWCRIME10. And remember, if you or anyone else is ever in danger, call 911. Welcome to Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast. I'm Anjanette Levy. Week 1 of test.
This is kind of what I want to go for, by the way. I would love to do more like in-depth dives of specific cases and make it to where the video isn't exactly necessary, but interesting. And then like make it also podcast formatable. You know what I mean? So where like this could be uploaded via Spotify, but at the same time, like there's visual on YouTube as well. I think my main parameter is obviously getting research. But that's just going to be effort. So just be ready for whenever there's a Crime Time YouTube channel.
Testimony in the trial of Doomsday cult mom Lori Vallow Daybell is in the books. And let me tell you, this is one of the strangest, weirdest stories I've ever covered. It's a twisted tale of murder, zombies, and religious extremism. And just in case you haven't been following the case and you're not familiar with it, here's a little recap. Lori Vallow Daybell is accused of murdering her daughter, Tylee Ryan, and her adopted son, JJ Vallow, in September of 2019. JJ was 7 years old and an autistic person. Tylee was just 16 years old. Lori is accused of conspiring with her current husband, Chad Daybell, to murder his late wife, Tammy Daybell, around the same time. A new fact came to light this week in Tammy Daybell's death. We found out in opening statements that an autopsy conducted after her body had been exhumed revealed that she died of asphyxiation. Originally, her death had been deemed due to natural causes from a medical issue, but now they're saying that's not true. The state started its case by calling J.J. Vallow's grandmother, Kay Woodcock. She is the sister of Charles Vallow, Lori's fourth husband, who was killed by her brother Alex Cox in July of 2019. Cameras are not allowed in the courtroom, of course, but we're getting the audio at the end of each day. This is what Kay said about Lori's relationship with J.J.
What did you observe in the relationship between Lori and J.J.?
I witnessed, she was a doting mom. She was very engaged. She was, I know one time when we went, he was probably a year old, she had a photo album and she had pictures in it, and she had pictures of me and Larry and other people, and she was reinforcing that we were his grandparents.
Are there captions? Oh.
It's pretty strange to hear Kay Woodcock talk about Lori Vallow in such pleasant terms, calling her a good mother to JJ. Obviously, things changed over the years. If you've been following the case, you'll know that Charles Vallow, her estranged husband back in 2019, had called police early that year saying that Lori really had gone off the deep end with her religious beliefs and that she believed that he was a zombie. Kay Woodcock testified about the last time she ever had any contact with JJ.
Did you have any other contact with J.J. Vallow?
The last FaceTime, the last contact that we ever had with them was on August the 10th of 19.
Smile.
And that was a 35-second FaceTime. And he, again, was not holding the iPad or the device. He just said, "Hi, Mama. Hi, Papa," and then he looked up as if someone, whoever was holding the device, and he goes, "Gotta go, Mama. Gotta go." How do you say it? "Gotta go, Mama. Gotta go, Papa. Bye." And
Okay.
that was it.
So that was the end of the conversation.
That was it. Yes.
So it was a short conversation.
Yes.
And that was the last time you ever had contact with J.J. Vallow?
Yes.
On August 10th, 2019.
Yes.
Okay. Did you attempt to have contact with JJ after that?
Yes.
So that was August of 2019, and JJ was killed in.
Yeah, I could certainly imagine a scenario, and not that this is a good thing, but somebody said it already. I could imagine a scenario where, like, I don't mean this disrespectfully, I don't know the proper way to say it, but like the amount that JJ was autistic might have played into her, like, delusion of him being a zombie because of just like the way it can change behavior in people. You know what I mean? I mean, there's just an intense form of it that really like makes behavior different. And so like I support needs. I don't know the nicest way to say it. I don't mean to be weird. I don't know the most respectful way to say it. I guess like where he's on the spectrum at, like if he's on like a high end of it, it could really like, I could totally see, not that it's okay, this fucking idiot ass woman thinking he's possessed, especially if she was some religion ass idiot. You know what I mean? Fucked.
In September, the following month. Now, Kay Woodcock also.
What does it say? Autistic people tend to prefer terms like high masking and low masking, or high support needs or low support needs.
About coming across her late
Great
brother's Amazon account in his email, and she found some searches that were awfully suspicious around the same time.
Yes. I got into the browsing history in the Amazon account, and I saw that there was browsing for a beach wedding dress, a bathing suit, men's large size, I think it was large, white linen top and pants, and malachite wedding rings. And there were a couple other little odd and end things, I believe, maybe flip-flops or something.
Was there a date associated with that browsing history that you saw?
Yes.
What date was that?
October 2nd.
Of what year?
2019.
Was there a reason that caught your attention?
Yes, because I had learned before that Tammy Daybell had passed away on October the 19th. And this was her looking at wedding rings and wedding stuff.
Kay Woodcock's call to Rexburg, Idaho police in the fall of 2019 really set off the missing persons investigation. She couldn't reach JJ, certainly, and she couldn't reach Tylee either. Rexburg Police Detective Ray Hermosillo is the lead detective on the case. He testified about finding human remains on Chad Daybell's property in June 2020 in a pet cemetery.
Eventually, we uncovered bits and...
Yeah, forget the part where I said the cops have something to find human remains in the ground. He said where to find it. He had a text saying, the raccoon in the pet cemetery. Now listen up, guys. Do we think there is a significant difference in the skeletal structure of humans and a raccoon? I'm thinking a slight difference.
Pieces of Tylee, who we assumed was Tylee.
Just to, I'm going to throw some smoke on the trail, guys, and I'm going to send a text that says immediately where the trail is, but I'm going to say it's something else. That way they're not suspicious of it.
That had been burned. There were pieces of bone, like I said.
Lights the fire for the trail. What?
Just the best I can describe is just globs of flesh that were falling apart.
Okay. And did you keep digging down?
We did.
Did you find anything further?
Once we removed some of that, underneath there was another round glob of, and sorry for the, that's the best way I
Lead
can
detective
describe it.
Police officer attempts to say anything scientific. Yeah, I think it was a glob
flesh,
or like a
bone, all kind of
chunk, or
what appeared to be put in a green bucket. The bucket had melted, so it was kind of disformed, and the flesh and bone and
nobody vetted him before the trial to say anything less, like anything more professional than glob.
Detective Hermosillo described a gruesome scene. Then he described finding little JJ's body.
Eventually, all the dirt was removed from the small body wrapped in plastic. The body was then photographed. ERT took their measurements. The body was eventually removed from the burial site and put into a black body bag, which was locked for evidence purposes and placed in the back of the coroner's vehicle on scene.
I want to ask you a clarifying question. You're referring to a body. Had you, other than the slit in the head area, you testified correct that this body was in a black plastic bag?
Bro, someone is breathing.
Correct. Did you remove any of the other black plastic at that time?
No, it was just, when I testified to that, it was just the shape of a small body wrapped in black plastic.
This testimony was apparently so incredibly upsetting to Lori Vallow Daybell that she asked that her attorneys ask the judge to allow her to skip the rest of the day.
Your Honor, my client wishes to waive her presence at the testimony for the remainder of the day. It was emotional this
thought it was
morning.
me?
And she
How dare
indicated to
you?
us she did not want to attend this afternoon. There is a rule that contemplates a defendant waiving their presence. Would ask the court to review that rule and any relevant case law. We would remind the court of the history of this case with my client, her fragile state of mind, the mental health concerns, the myriad reports that have been filed about her mental health do
Come on, bro.
justify
People don't use
such a
myriad.
request.
Judge
use
Stephen
numerous.
Boyce denied that request. Now, we know that Lori Vallow Daybell has
Oh.
serious mental health issues. It took 10 months for mental health professionals to restore her to competency so she could go to trial. But we still
Restore her.
don't know her
No. Oh, I'm good now.
exact mental health diagnosis. Some of the week's most damning testimony came from a woman named Melanie Gibb. She is the former
Bippity boppity boo, no mental health for you. She's like, oh, I'm suddenly so clear.
best friend of Lori Vallow Daybell.
I've been restored.
Gibb testified that Lori Vallow met Chad Daybell in October of 2018. Gibb described their religious beliefs. Lori and Chad were members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Oh my God.
Did Lori ever indicate anything about having a special
no.
mission here on Earth?
Yes.
And what did she tell you
Oh,
about
this
that?
makes so much sense
She
now.
felt that she was
oh no, dude.
part of the 144,000.
That's like one of the
And then as
worst
she
fucking
developed her
ones ever.
relationship with
No.
Chad, she felt like they were the head leaders of it.
And when you talk about the 144,000, can you explain a little bit about what that would mean?
It's reference from Scripture and the Bible and the Doctrine and Covenants about a group of 144,000 that would be here during the return of our Savior, and they would help do a great missionary work throughout the world. And they would have, a lot of a spiritual endowment from on high.
Gibb also told the jury about how she and the Daybells participated in what they called
aggressive
castings. It was to drive out evil spirits from the bodies of the people that they labeled
It's a TikTok. It's TikTok.
as, quote, dark.
Do you recall if they told you anything, if
We're
they,
Subway
or
Surfers.
excuse me, I say they, do you recall if Lori ever used the term zombie?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when she used that term?
It wasn't in the beginning,
Bro,
but
some-
I would
these
say
people need to
weeks-
distance the
weeks
mic.
after the original
They got no audio
idea
guy in
of
there?
someone taking over the body, they just started using that terminology. I would just say weeks after that.
By all accounts, jurors seemed to be absolutely stunned by Melanie Gibbs's testimony. Some of their jaws were dropping from what we've been told when the word zombie was actually used. Gibbs said the first time that she ever heard Lori describe someone as dark was in early 2019, and she used that word to describe her then husband, Charles Vallow. You'll recall Lori's brother, Alex Cox, shot and killed Charles in the summer of 2019 in Arizona and claimed it was self-defense. Then Gibbs said Lori claimed that JJ was possessed.
Did she ever tell you if JJ was taken over or possessed by an evil spirit?
Yes, she did.
And do you recall approximately when that would have been?
Getting my September. Was it September 2019? Is that when I was? Yeah, September. September.
In 2019?
Yeah.
And was that the first time you'd heard of JJ being possessed?
Yes.
Gibb also testified about Lori telling her about her intimate relationship with Chad Daybell.
Did Lori indicate whether or not she thought it was okay that they were engaging in intimate relations?
She did.
You mean
she
cheating?
felt it was.
You mean adultery?
According to God's will.
Bring those captions over here. What? So let me get this straight. She thought that her adulterous relationship was God's will.
Isn't one of the 10 Commandments literally about not committing adultery?
Yes, quite literally. The exact thing. That exact thing is one of the 10 Commandments.
She thought her fifth husband was a prophet, so yes, she did believe this was God's will.
I bet the guy was like, yeah, man, God's telling me plenty. What the fuck? Oh my God, wow. God's will is so cool. I can't believe it.
And did she tell you, ever expand on why she believed it was according to God's will?
Yes. She explained that because they had been married in multiple lives and they had a mission together, that it was okay.
The jury then heard a phone call that Melanie Gibbs secretly recorded. This was when Lori and Melanie were speaking by phone after JJ and Tylee had been reported missing.
I don't know why you're being controversial to me, or if you're recording this conversation for the police or whatever. I don't know what your intention is on this phone call. But I love you with all my heart, and I have forever, and I will always love you.
I appreciate those words, but if you really love
You better
me,
not be
you
recording
wouldn't
this.
tell the police that I have surgery with me. That's not what a friend does. I mean, that just makes me look weird, and it's not safe for me. That doesn't look good. I mean, you had to think of my welfare.
That's what she
if you
thought.
love
Wouldn't she
me.
go looking for him and not get married 5 times?
I do, and I did exactly what I felt the Lord was instructing me to do. And I appreciate you, and I love you. And I would never do anything to harm you. And you can have all of this confirmed to you by the Lord.
I have. And my conscience is clear. I feel very understanding what's really going on, Lori. And I believe that you have been very deceived by Satan. I believe that he has tricked you.
What the fuck is happening?
I don't believe that what you're doing is correct.
In another part of that phone call, Lori tells Melanie Gibb that she knows where JJ is. This was after he was killed.
I'm just worried for you guys because, he's missing and,
I know exactly where he is. He's perfectly fine and happy.
Okay, well, I hope so. I had a scripture I wanted to share with you if you don't mind.
I'd love it.
That's it for this edition of Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast. You can listen to and download Sidebar on Apple, Spotify, Google, and wherever else you get your podcasts.
All right. This one is 32 minutes. Fuck it. 9 bombshells dropped in Doomsday cult mom Lori Vallow Daybell trial so far as of 2 days ago.
I pray for you. I pray for him. You ripped my heart out, and you ripped out everyone in this family's heart out.
What a month it has been in the Lori Vallow Daybell murder trial. From haunting phone calls to new details surrounding the deaths of 3 people, we break down some of the biggest revelations over the past several weeks. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. As someone who's been following the Lori Vallow Daybell saga for the past several years, I have to tell you, I was really curious to see what would be presented at this Idaho murder trial. And yeah, we have certainly learned a lot. And honestly, it is more disturbing than I could have imagined. This again is the case of the 49-year-old mother charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and grand theft in connection with the deaths of her 2 children, 7-year-old J.J. Vallow, 16-year-old Tylee Ryan. But she's also charged with conspiracy to commit murder in the death of 49-year-old Tammy Daybell, the deceased wife of her current husband and co-defendant, Chad Daybell. He's facing similar charges. He's going to be tried separately after all the kids' bodies were found on his property, and he is charged with the murder of Tammy. Now,
that dude's going to be found dead in his jail cell if she's guilty, I guarantee you.
Let's actually start.
That's not a threat, by the way. In Minecraft. Just like the way criminals make decisions based on what's happening around them.
Tammy. Okay, so one of the biggest revelations, something that we didn't know before this trial, was how Tammy died. For anyone following this case, you may recall that when Tammy died back in October of 2019, her death was initially classified as natural. This was based a lot on Chad's version of events that night, that his wife got ill, she suddenly died in her sleep. But when everything happened with JJ and Tylee, her body was exhumed. And during this trial, we learned not only her cause and manner of death, but also what may have happened to her right before she died.
And in conducting the autopsy on Tammy Daybell,
Did you, in fact, reach a conclusion as to the cause and manner of death?
It looks like
Yes, we
syringe
did.
entries.
And what were those?
We determined her cause of death to be the result of asphyxia, and her manner of death to be homicide.
And as you were going through this process with the bruising on Miss Daybell, were you able to make any determination with regard to the age of the bruising?
All of it, all of
I
the
mean,
sections
strangle,
that we
I
looked at under
think.
the
Not necessarily. Asphyxia just means you died because you couldn't breathe. Asphyxiation is like the action being done to you, I believe. Asphyxia is the cause, which is lack of oxygen. It just means you died because you didn't have oxygen.
microscope showed only hemorrhage. They were acute injuries.
And would you be able to say if they occurred prior to or after her death?
Most likely prior. Certainly you can inflict bruises on an individual who has recently died. If
but that wouldn't work.
Strike them, drop them, and a number of other things.
You have to do it pretty
but
quick.
Once circulation stops, you tend to not have a lot of accumulation of hemorrhage within the tissue simply because there's no circulation, no blood pressure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. When a body dies, the heart stops working, so the heart can't pump blood to places. The bruises are internal bleeding. So when you get a bruise, it's blood going to that area. And obviously, if a person is dead, the heart isn't able to circulate blood towards that piece of the body to create a bruise for healing purposes, by the way. It looks like that because your body's trying to fix the soreness in the bruise. It's an excess of blood. Like, I mean, he said it perfectly. You'd have to do it pretty quick. It'd be pretty hard to make a bruise happen postpartum just because blood flow stops partum. So.
And so those are the sort of the basic things. She, in addition to having, no anatomical abnormalities, no organ pathology per se, no pneumonia, no other pathologic process that would explain her death. She did also have some injuries.
Sorry.
On her arms,
postmortem.
very non-specific blunt injuries, bruises on her right arm, left arm, and on her left chest.
Sorry, I'm prepping for the child, guys.
Which were determined to be relatively acute injuries, had happened, within the hours around the time of her death. Would be, by their nature, those types of blunt injuries are not specific, but they are certainly consistent with someone being restrained, and would be, consistent with asphyxia as a cause of death as well.
So she died from someone basically suffocating her, and it seems that she was attacked and restrained. Was it Chad? Was it Alex Cox, Lori's dead brother, who the evidence has been suggesting is the person that killed the kids? Was it the both of them? Well, we know that Chad is charged with the first-degree murder of his wife, Tammy, and his suspicious behavior before and after her death, something that we covered in a previous sidebar.
Can anyone be a medical examiner? Because it seems like it. Actually, kind of, yes. There's a really good video that Jon Stewart did. I'll find the exact title so you can watch it. It's a really good watch. Or not Jon Stewart. Jon Snow. Yeah, it was John Oliver. It's Death Investigations. Death Investigations is a really good clip from John Oliver's show. He basically goes into how it's like actually stupid how easily you could be the medical examiner of your county and how it's gotten like shit like this to be a problem.
Can certainly
it's fascinating.
Lead one to the conclusion that he was behind.
Don't make me
this.
watch it. We're gonna watch
but
it.
It's just chilling to think that for Tammy, she was none the wiser about her husband's affair with Lori, and she.
Can't counties elect a medical examiner? Yes, that's actually what he talks about. And when nobody really runs, you can just be the medical examiner. So.
And then her husband
it's
gets
too good
married
of a watch.
to Lori 2 weeks after her death. Now, speaking of these new revelations, I will say right now, some of the most difficult testimony that we have heard in this case, and there's been a lot, but really I don't think anything compares to what we learned about what happened to JJ and Tylee. Their bodies were found, as I mentioned, on Chad's property. We had ideas.
Yeah, I told you. I thought they said both bodies there.
But never really knew exactly what happened. And I warn you right now, this is graphic, and this is very, very hard to hear.
Doctor, were you involved in the autopsy of Joshua Jackson.
This is about to be a testimony from the forensic pathologist of the trial describing what he found on the remains of both children in terms of how they died. So if this is something that you really don't want to hear because it can get graphic, I would mute for a bit, probably until this screen is gone, I would imagine.
Vallow.
Yes.
Okay. If it's okay with you, I'm going to refer to him as JJ from here on out. When were you involved in that autopsy?
On June 11th, 2020.
And where did that take place?
That took place at the Ada County Morgue.
Was this the first time you had ever seen JJ Vallow?
Yes.
And approximately how long did that autopsy last?
It took approximately 4 hours.
Okay. And did you write a report summarizing your findings for that autopsy?
I did.
Based on that particular autopsy and based upon your education, training, and experience, have you formed an expert opinion concerning the cause of death of JJ Vallow?
I have.
What was that?
I determined the cause of death to be asphyxia by plastic bag over the head and duct tape covering the mouth. And then there's another segment that's other significant conditions. I put bound with duct tape.
Your own child, dude.
Bruising to the arms and abrasion to the neck. But ultimately, the cause of death was asphyxia by plastic bag over the head and duct tape over the mouth.
Dr. Warren, based on
I just got
your
such a pain in my
autopsy
chest
of Tylee
when even
Ryan and based upon your
hearing that.
education, training, and experience, have you formed an expert opinion concerning the cause of death of Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
What is that cause of death?
I determined the cause of death to be homicide by unspecified means.
And homicide by unspecified means, does that have a specific definition?
It does. So homicide by unspecified means is a term that is or can be used for the cause of death when the forensic pathologist has essentially looked at the totality of the case, including the circumstances of the death, the autopsy findings and lack thereof autopsy findings in this case, the toxicology, and also based on medical and social records that the forensic pathologist, which is me in this case, feels that the cause of death was by homicide, but I just can't pinpoint exactly what that was.
It's just unthinkable. It's just unthinkable. To really process and understand what happened to these two innocent children, it's horrifying. It's evil. And it's heartbreaking. And from our reporter, Gigi McKelvey, who was in that courthouse, she said it was a very difficult day for the jurors and everyone in that courtroom. And then we heard another bombshell, another devastating bombshell. This audio recording between Lori Vallow Daybell and her surviving son, Colby Ryan. This was recorded while she was in jail after the kids' bodies were found. And Colby doesn't hold anything back. He confronts his mother, but listen very carefully to Lori's reaction.
You have no idea how much pain I have felt in my body. I feel like I could die. My own mom, my siblings, and my whole family, my dad, everyone is gone except for you, and you're in jail because of it. I have prayed to Heavenly Father himself and asked him to help me survive this. I pray every day. I pray, no matter how mad I am at you, no matter how bad I want to hit your husband in the face with a shovel. I pray for you. I pray for him.
You can judge me, Colby, all day long. Go ahead and judge me. The whole world has. The whole world has judged me.
Listen to me.
They don't know, and you don't know. You don't know what I've been through, and you don't even give a crap what they've been through. Nobody does. Except for me. I'm the one that knows.
I'm the one that was in the hospital with Tylee for hundreds of days watching her suffer. I'm the one that was there doing everything with JJ every day. I was the one who did it all these years.
You did it all.
I cannot believe they're letting her speak.
They're not.
You don't know what happened. You don't know what happened.
Freaking matter what happened if they're buried in your new husband's backyard. Tell me that matters what happened. You tell me that you did this in Jesus' name, Mom. I have to hear that out of your mouth. If you believe it, then you are not afraid. Every witness of Christ will scream his name when he comes back. So you are that person.
I am that person. I am that person.
Oh yeah, that's right. This is a conversation from jail. You're right.
Oh yeah, Cole, because that's what it is.
To know that they're gone and you knew, and my phone's being texted by my little sister who's not even alive, my little brother who's the sweetest little kid ever. For what purpose? Can you tell me if this is God's will for my whole family, including my
Who the fuck just sniffs so? Who's sniffing?
After everything that you try to tell me, you can tell me right now that Jesus Christ, the Savior of the world, is on your side. You tell me that with all the conviction in your heart that Jesus Christ is on your side right now. Please.
He's crying? He's talking.
I don't have anything else to say. You obviously don't know.
It's somebody in the courtroom. They're replaying this message. That's why it sounds so far away. Somebody's at the mic being like, that.
You're right.
Nobody was there.
Tylee and JJ, Mom.
Yeah, and guess what? They know.
That's somebody in the courtroom.
Exactly what happened. And they love me, and we are still together forever. They love me, and they are fine, and they do know the truth, and I know the truth. And we're the only people that do.
To hear her laughing, to hear her saying, you don't understand what happened to her son, talking about her dead kids, it's chilling. But it's also important because it helps to show that she knew what was going on with her children, and arguably was a part of their killings. No? I mean, one way to look at it is if she really had nothing to hide, why not say what happened? But no, she doesn't go that far. She never goes so far to say what's going on. There was another piece of audio that was played for the jury. This is Lori and Chad on the phone when Lori's already in jail, but investigators are searching Chad's property. This is before the kids were found.
Okay.
So they're searching the property.
The house right now?
Yeah. And then is so Mark means we'll be talking to.
Okay. What, are they in the house?
No, they're out in the property.
Are they seizing stuff? Again?
They're searching.
Anything for you?
The clicking is in the courtroom. They're playing this during the court trial. It's the court stenographer typing the conversation out.
I feel pretty calm. Are they seizing stuff again? They're searching the property. And it shows just a lack of surprise at anything happening. Argument could be made that this is consciousness of guilt because they know what they did. A normal response from Lori would have been, what's going on? Where are my kids? Why are they searching your property? This all goes towards, once again, knowledge. But again, it doesn't go so far to suggest that she was maybe a part of the actual killings.
Stenography is a really cool job, by the way. They have, I've said this before on a different crime time, they have their own unique keyboard. It's about, yeah, they don't have as much keys. They have, it's like strokes and like direction. It's really cool. If you have time, look up how a stenographer keyboard works. It's fascinating.
Maybe. Got one more phone call for you. Another person confronting Lori Vallow Daybell. Big moment in this trial was from Summer Shiflett, Lori's sister, who had this very eerie phone call with her sister. Again, this is when Lori's in jail after the kids' remains are found, Take a listen. I've said it before. We don't have a smoking gun like a recorded phone call between Lori and Chad and Alex talking about how they're planning to kill everybody, right?
The bodies were found on his property, though. I mean, that's about his second. That's pretty obviously like a written or verbal statement of first degree plotted murder would go way better here, but like that's pretty bad.
But when you have this behavior, this lack of surprise, this mother who is seemingly showing no concern or remorse or sadness about her dead children, it is alarming. The question is it enough to convict? So I said the prosecution doesn't really have a smoking gun tying Lori Vallow Daybell to the murders of her children. And we're going to get more into her strange comments and behavior, but there was nothing indicating that she was a part of the actual killings. But that is until we heard about a key piece of evidence that was obtained during the course of this investigation.
I'm shocked they haven't tried to plead guilty by reason of insanity, given how absolutely ridiculous this woman is. They might eventually, but we'll see.
This
Don't tell me.
is Keely Coleman, a DNA analyst.
You mentioned a piece of hair that had been stuck to adhesive.
Yes.
Was there an evidence number from the agency, submitting agency, assigned to that specific piece of evidence?
Some of
yes, there was. And
hair was on tape they used.
Memory. That was 11-16-8B.
Thank you. How was this evidence processed?
So similar to the process that I described before, a portion of this submitted hair item was taken forward and put into a test tube. It went through a series of washes to get rid of any extraneous DNA that may have been on the hair. We were trying to focus on the hair itself. Then additional reagents and chemicals were added to the sample, and it went through a series of heating and cooling steps to isolate any DNA that may have been present.
Terrible
we determined
timing.
how much
it's kind of
DNA
funny.
was present in that sample.
She's denying all this shit, and they find fucking literally a hair follicle on the tape that they used. I understand. Kind of morbid. That is kind of an L, though, given how fucking like I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I didn't do it.
Then made lots and lots of copies, put that on a genetic analyzer, and analyzed the data that was obtained using a computer software program.
Certified.
What results were obtained from your analysis?
You guys are a Twitch chat. You can.
So from the
do
Bodie
emotes.
item EO1, which was the hair sample, a partial female profile was obtained.
And were you able to make any conclusions based on those results?
Yes, Tyree Ryan and Melanie Gibb were excluded as possible contributors of that partial DNA profile. The partial DNA profile matched the DNA profile that was provided for Lori Vallow Daybell.
Okay. Did you perform any statistics for the match?
Yes, I did. The probability of randomly selecting an unrelated individual with that partial DNA profile is 1 in 71 billion.
Now,
DNA
that
is
big.
Hard evidence.
A hair found on the tape that was wrapped around JJ matched Lori Vallow Daybell. That is huge for prosecutors. The question becomes now.
Yeah, they said
was she
billion, by the
present
way.
when the kids were killed? Did she help carry it out? Sure, an argument could be made that maybe it's tough to know how material like that is transferred, like hair. This was her son. Maybe it was on him from earlier on the night or something like that. But the bottom line, this is one of the few pieces, if any, of actual direct physical evidence tying Lori to the murder. But what about digital forensics? That brings me to another bombshell. Google searches. Here's Detective David Stubbs from the Rexburg Police Department talking about some of the searches of Chad and Lori.
Here we fucking go.
And what did you find when you looked at his search history?
We got another Casey Anthony
one
on
thing that
on
I
us.
found was that on the 8th
Body
the afternoon hours,
disposal.
the user of this account, the owner of the account was Chad Daybell. The user of this account looked up what the wind direction was going to be for the next day.
Odor.
And the next day would be September 9th of 2019?
That's correct.
Okay. Did that have any significance to you as an investigator?
It did because of other things that I had learned, and that that is the day that Chad Daybell had said he was going to burn limbs and killed a raccoon in his yard.
Okay. And he did a wind search on September 8th.
That's right. And the wind search reflected the wind was going to be south-southwest.
It happened to find
Did
a
you
raccoon
find
the
anything
next day.
of
Raccoon.
note in this investigation?
Yes. In reviewing the lollytimeforever@gmail.com, this email.
The what?
The lollytimeforever@gmail.com.
The what time? Surely the caption's wrong. Guys, don't look up that word. Don't look up that word.
This email address was associated with Lori Vallow.
Maybe it
Did
was
you look
Lori.
at her search history?
Guys, maybe that is the word and she meant lollipop. That is bad. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like basically it's child porn essentially. Don't look it up. So don't look it up. Either he said it right and she didn't know what she was making her Gmail however long ago, or it is Lori time. Either way, yikes.
Yes.
Did you see anything of note around August 25th of 2019?
August 5th?
25th.
25th, yes. I thought you said 5th, sorry. August 25th, 2019, the user of this account looked for malachite wedding rings, or wedding rings made of malachite. Also went to a website where the user of this account ordered an 11.5 size ring and a 4.25 malachite ring for I think the total was $808 and some change.
Now, why did this catch your attention?
It's fine, guys. They were pointing out
it
like the
caught my
logic
attention.
behind it. It doesn't make it
Number
okay.
one,
I don't think they were supporting it. Let's chill.
Charles.
Once again, guys, you are so quick. You are so quick to jump at people. Like, relax, man. Can we just see messages with a hint of nuance and understand that clearly they're not defending anything there, okay? And even if somebody was being weird, stop handling it. I have mods. I'm an adult. I am able to see things. So are my mods. I ask my mods to do that. I ask you to be silly in chat.
Had died in July. We had information that Chad and Lori were seeing each other.
No conversations, only
Chad
emotes.
was still married to his wife Tammy at that time. So we were thinking it was kind of odd for them to be looking, or for her to be looking at wedding rings at that time.
Yeah. In a case where prosecutors are arguing that Lori and Chad planned the murder of his wife, Tammy, that doesn't look great. That they were planning a life together while she was still alive and that she dies 2 months later. Oh, and as for Charles Vallow, Lori's husband, who was shot to death by her brother Alex Cox, she's separately charged with conspiracy to commit murder in Arizona. And Chad searching wind directions on the day that Tylee goes missing, and we know her body was burned on his property. And this search was, I believe, the day before Chad said to his wife, Tammy, that he was going to burn tree limbs and that he killed a raccoon in his yard and that he was going to bury the raccoon. Very, very suspicious.
You know, they could actually technically go into the fire pit and try to scrape up a semblance of evidence. And they might have tried. They could very much do that. There would be enough there, or something there. Anytime something interacts with something, DNA is left behind. So
suspicious, these searches. Now, again, I said it's their
I mean, that's
searches.
probably why they know it got burned
They're
there.
tied
They
to
probably
their
found burnt
accounts.
flesh.
Is it 100% sure that they were searching this? No.
It's
Looks
sketch.
like it.
Minimum
All right,
sketch.
let's move on to Lori's comments, because that's really something. And that brings me to the testimony of her former close associates. We're going to start with Zulema Pastenes. She is the widow of Alex Cox. And listen to what she says about not only what Alex told her, but also strange comments that were made to her by Lori and Chad.
So then I stand up and I start walking away because I'm like, I don't know what to think at this point. And that's when he said, I think I am being their fall guy. And I'm like, the fall guy for what? What is it? Tell me. What is it that they're trying to pin on you? What did they do? And he just wouldn't say anything else. And then I get frustrated again because he's not answering my questions. So I turn around and I'm going to walk away again, because I'm just so frustrated that he's not saying anything. And that's when he tells me either I am a man of God or I am not.
Did Lori ever talk to you, or Lori and Chad ever talk to you about how long they expected JJ to live?
Lori had said that he was going to have a very short life. And then in a meeting that we had at Lori's house in early August
of 2019,
Chad said that JJ was going to have a very short life, that he was going to, the reason why he was going to live a short life was because he was going to come right back as Colby's child.
So Lori and Chad allegedly foreshadowed the death of JJ. And if the jury believes that, that is very significant. And then according to Zulema, Alex, who the evidence, as I mentioned, suggested is the person that killed the kids, was
Sorry, Hannah was going to bed. I had to say goodnight. I got a cream filled donut.
afraid he was going to be their fall guy, seemingly meaning both Lori and Chad. So she's just as much a part of this as Chad, right? That's one way to interpret that. And then we know he dies. reporting that he died from natural causes, blood clots, but still, just so strange he dies after all this. I'm talking about Alex Cox. And Zulema would also provide testimony that on the night someone tried to shoot Tammy Daybell, yes, someone, allegedly Alex Cox, tried to shoot and kill Tammy but missed. Zulema overhears Lori on the phone, and then Lori say, "Idiot, can't do anything right by himself." All right. Final. Shoot and kill Tammy but missed. Zulema overhears Lori on the phone, and then Lori say, "Idiot, can't do anything right by himself." All right. Finally, some of the biggest bombshell testimony came from Lori Vallow's former best friend, Melanie Gibb. Someone in Lori's close circle. This is someone that had actually engaged in close religious practices with Lori. There was a lot to get to with this, but this is a sampling. This is what Melanie said that Lori told her about Tylee, about JJ, about what she was envisioning, her dreams. Take a listen.
Were you ever told, with regard to Tylee being dark, did Lori ever tell you whether or not an evil spirit had entered Tylee?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately when that would have been?
It was.
We already heard part of this, I think.
Sometime between probably February or March to June, somewhere. I believe when she was in Texas, maybe she shared with me when she was in Texas, which you probably can recall better when she was in Texas than I can, but it's probably like in May or April whenever she was there. That's what it feels like. That's what it was.
No, not dark as in like skin color.
Well, actually, let me.
She described somebody possessed or whatever as dark. Yeah, like dark as in evil.
Back up. Did she ever tell you if JJ was taken over or possessed by an evil spirit?
Yes, she did.
And do you recall approximately when that would have been?
Sorry, I'm getting my September. Was it September 2019? Is that when I was?
We already heard this part.
Yeah,
this is in the first video.
Yeah, September.
In 2019?
Yeah.
And was that the first time you'd heard of JJ being possessed?
Yes.
And you indicated previously, I believe, that Lori had talked about how both Charles and Tammy were supposed to pass away.
Correct.
Do you know what she told you regarding Tammy passing away?
She learned from Chad that he knew years ago that she would be passing away, early in her life.
That is so fucked. I mean, that is so fucked. I mean, that's like.
I believe you already testified that
years.
Lori had moved back to Arizona before Charles passed away.
First-degree murder plot.
Correct.
Were you in contact with Lori when she came back to Arizona?
Yes.
Did you, in fact, stay at her house in July of 2019?
I did.
Do you recall what day you stayed at her house?
It was, I believe, the 10th or the night. Spend the night and night 10th, something like that.
Around the 9th or 10th?
Yeah.
At some point, were you going to stay there longer?
No, I just periodically stay with her, but I didn't have a agenda or anything.
After you had left, do you know if anyone else ended up staying the night at her residence?
Yes, I was told Alex was coming the next morning or the next day.
Do you know if that would have been the night before Charles died?
Right, correct.
Did Lori tell you why she was going to have Alex stay there?
She told me that he
this is not Lori. This
needed to
is
stay
her
there
friend.
to protect her because Charles was going to kill her.
According to Melanie Gibb, Lori believes her children are dark spirits, and we know prosecutors are saying that Lori and Chad used warped religious beliefs as a justification to kill. And according to Melanie Gibb, Lori fantasized about her life with Chad and that their spouses would die, which they both did. And according to Melanie Gibb, Lori asked her to lie to police about having JJ. This is after he disappears. And we know, as you just heard, Melanie didn't have JJ. It is incredibly chilling to think about, considering we know what happened to these kids. It has been quite a month of testimony. Let's see how this trial finishes up. That's all we have for you here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you.
No, it's not, because the verdict got posted today, and we're about to find out.
Welcome back to Law and Crime. If you're just joining us, I'm Bob Bianchi. The trial of Doomsday Court mom Lori Vallow Daybell is finally nearing its end. After more than a month of hearing audio of the trial, Judge Boyce just ruled today that the verdict, however, will be live streamed. Now, we will definitely cover that at the time here at the Law and Crime Network when that happens. Lori Vallow Daybell is charged with the murders of her two youngest children, Tylee and JJ.
This isn't the verdict. This is the judge allowing the live stream of it? When? Fuck this video. Court will live stream Vallow trial verdict, but cameras still barred from courtroom until then. When the jury returns its verdict in the trial of Lori Vallow, aka Lori Vallow Daybell, you will be able to watch it live on the internet and on television. The KTVB YouTube channel. The date and time of the verdict are not yet known as of Tuesday morning. Oh. Vallow's defense team is expected to present some witnesses. Closing arguments will begin after the defense rests. The jury will deliberate. Once jurors reach a verdict, guilty or not guilty, they'll submit their findings to the judge, who will read the verdict in open court. Oh my God. So this could happen like anytime. Closing arguments set for Thursday? Where did you read this? No, bro. That's Tears of the Kingdom. Fuck. That's going to be like 10 a.m. my time. I'm serious. Isn't that Friday? Not me, guys. I'm in Japan on Thursday. Totally. Don't know what to tell you guys. I'm gonna be in Japan. I'm gonna buy the game and I'm gonna be back here to stream it at 10 a.m.